Hey everybody, welcome to Average Guy Opinions. I'm your average guy, John Corelli. This is part 2 of my Friday at school. I was kind of in the middle of a bitch rant. Like I've explained to you guys, we have 4 periods, 4 hour-and-a-half long periods. So this was after lunch in third period. It's probably about, I want to say around noon, 1 o'clock. And like I was telling you, that we had some tough concepts we were trying to teach these kids in science today. Like a lot of these kids think dinosaurs and man coexisted when they weren't even close to coexisting. Some kids think dinosaurs were just around a few thousand years ago. It's like, no, try 65 million. And so it was a lot. Oh, and one kid, check this out. So I'm working with this kid, and we have it's like a total timeline to each era that I forgot. There's the Mesozoic, Cenozoic, and I can't remember the other two because I'm a schmuck. But basically, it's like covers each of these eras covers like a billion or so years because 4.6 billion divided by 4. So on average, we're talking about 1.2 billion years in each of these eras. And so these kids, they don't understand. And like I said in part one, these are the higher functioning kids. Even they don't understand what that is. They don't get it. I mean, we start talking about extinct species because that's part of the hallmark that kind of separates an era from another era, right? Is one species going completely extinct and then another coming and replacing it. And this one kid's like was talking about the dodo, and I was like, "It's extinct." He's like, "No, I just saw one in Texas when I lived there." I'm like, "No, you didn't." And it was funny because I felt pretty good about my bird knowledge because I said, "You might have seen an ibis down there. I've seen an ibis in Florida. Maybe an ibis got over to Texas, and they kind of look like a dodo." He's like, "No, they don't." I go, and so we got on the phone. Even under dodo, which was extinct in 1682, when I told him that, been extinct almost 400 years, or 350. Anyway, I showed him an ibis and a dodo. Did you see something like this? No, I definitely saw that. I go, no, you didn't. It hasn't been around for over 300 years, and so you don't go too hard with these kids. But I'm like, dude, why? If you don't believe me, there's your phone telling you on Wikipedia. Okay, so that was a tough concept. A lot of kids didn't want to hear that dinosaurs and man didn't coexist, and I was like, that wasn't even close. You guys were like 60 million years apart. 60 million. I go, you felt last year how long that was? 2020, a long year. They're like, yeah. Go, well, try 60 million of those. And they still, it's just a concept a lot of them don't get. And then I ran into a kid, and I really liked this kid. And another kid I knew at Eastridge, but very briefly. He was in fifth grade, and now he's a senior. But he was in fifth grade when I was at Eastridge, my first year there, and now 7 years later, I get to work with him again. Very sweet kid, very emotional kid, nice, and pretty intelligent, but kind of stuck in his ways, like, pretty much like a lot of us are, right? So I go to the kid, and he's like, "This is all wrong," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, the Earth hasn't been around for 4.6 billion years." I go, "Yeah, that's what the science tells us. It's been around for 4.6 billion years." He's like, "No, it's only been around for like a few thousand." And I could feel it going towards a religious place, but I didn't want to steer the conversation in that direction, so I passed on doing that. But it was funny because he grabbed my arm, and I could tell he was stressing out about this because he doesn't want to hear that the beliefs he has can't be true or may not be true even. He wants to believe those beliefs because it's it's strong with a lot of people. I mean, we all have our belief systems, but when you have a special needs brain and maybe a learning disorder that goes with that, you may also have a very, very tight grip on what's real to you and what's not. And it felt that way with this kid. And so he's like, "No, dinosaurs just died off like 1,000 years ago." And I go, "No, it was 60 million years ago." And he was like, and I go, "Man and dinosaurs did not coexist." He's like, "No, I've seen it." I go, "Where did you see it?" And then once that challenge started, he started getting upset. And I was standing next to him. He's sitting at his desk. He just started gripping my arm really tightly. Never really hurt me, but I kind of leaned in, and that's a little secret I've learned, that you don't pull away when they do that. If they're not threatening you, they just need like it's called proprioceptive, I believe. They need that touch, or just need to. And even if it's a frustrating thing and it seems a little aggressive, as long as it's not hurting me, it's not going to hurt me. So I've learned to lean in, and that not only that does two things. One, it gives them a comfort, right? It gives them a comfort, like, oh, he's not threatened by this. And two, it kind of gives me, a little, like, I don't want to call him intimidation, but him knowing that, hey, I'm here too, right? A, I'm not afraid of you. Uh, B, I'm here to support you. And C, this is, if this does turn into something physical, I'm not only bigger than you, I'm also standing and you're sitting, so I have an advantage. But that's the last thing I want to get across to the kid. I mainly just want to get across to him that I support you, even if we disagree on this, and you're kind of squeezing me right now. It's okay. We're good. You and I are still friends, and we can disagree and still be friends. And so that was kind of an interesting part of that day. Um, and then, like I was telling you before in part one, I really did get annoyed when just when my coworkers who were barely supporting the rest of the class, I had like, and this wasn't just me. It was a substitute, and she's a very well-known substitute. She's there all the time. And then there's me, and then there's like three other paras, and they're just kind of not doing a lot to help. I'm the one writing stuff on the board, and then I'm going out into the classroom and looking over the shoulders of these kids, going, "Yeah, you got it. Okay, good job. Do you understand this? Blah blah blah." And so it was frustrating. I wasn't getting a lot of help, and then people questioning me and saying, "Well, that's actually 76%, not 85%." Oh, I'm sorry. I'm doing math in my head up here and writing shit on the board and helping the class while you're sitting there and getting out your calculator. And by the way, now we're on question 3, and that was question 2. You go ahead. You feel free to go ahead around to all these fucking kids. We had like 15 in there, and you go ahead and have them erase it and put it back. You go ahead and do that, since you're going to be all nitpicky about this shit now. All of a sudden, you're in charge. Shut up. However, so like I said, this is the ups and downs of a very typical day at my school. So third period ended. I was a little annoyed, and I go with my friend and who I cover. Mentioned him the other day. I'm with him all day, every other day, and then on the days I'm not with him all day, I'm with him in the last period of the day. So I went in there. He takes a nap at 1 o'clock. So he was in the middle of his nap. I replaced the para who's in there, who I like a lot. And so I'm just chilling in there, waiting for an appropriate, at 2 o'clock I wake him up. So it's like 1:30. And our administrative assistant, who's great, she's amazing. We cannot lose her. We are fucked. I swear to God, she keeps that place running. She's an amazing woman. I love her. But she calls him, or she texts, because we do a lot on the phone. It's just easier. And she's like, "Hey, is there a male para that can get to the ILC bathroom? There's a student that needs assistance." And so I text back, because I didn't see anyone responding after a minute. And I go, "I can do it, but I need someone to come and stay with Ishmael, because he's a line of sight kid, we call that. Someone has to be there for him all the time, even when he's sleeping. I can't just leave him in that room." So, and part of the problem was too, is it was PE, and they were all outside doing PE, all the other male paras. So our administrative assistant Maria came in. I went to the bathroom, and this is when you know that you're in the right place. You know that despite all the good and bad that happens throughout your day, you know that this is a beautiful thing, that these are the beautiful moments that make you want to work this job. So I go in there. I'll just call this kid Q, because I really shouldn't be using names, even though I yeah. And this kid's amazing. He's already a very popular kid in 9th grade. He's just a freshman, big kid, in a wheelchair. Difficulty talking. You can understand him, but you got to know him, right? It's one of those things where it's like very slow, deep, but he creates words, but it's just hard for him to talk. It's almost like talking to Dante sometimes, my son. And he's in a wheelchair, and he's waiting for me in the bathroom. And he's really trying hard to explain what he needs. And he even got his phone out, and he tried to spell it, and we couldn't get it. So what happened was he had to urinate. And I said, "Do you need to get up? Do you need to stand? Do you want to stand over the toilet? Do you want to sit on the toilet? How do you want to do this?" And he kept trying, and we just couldn't communicate. Finally, it came out that he needed me to help him get his penis out, which is fine. It's part of my job. And get some sort of cup under there so he could pee into that. That's how he does it. But since I didn't know him, it's a freshman, it's only his 3rd day, we had to figure that out. But this child, he's not a child, he's a young man. I say children a lot because they're so much younger than me, but these are 14 to 18-year-old kids. This young man, it was exactly what I needed leaving a Friday, to know I'm going to go back there Monday happy to work this job. I mean, I'll try not to tear up, because I told Logan, because there's a nice thing too about having Logan on the way home, is I get to bounce my day off of him, he gets to bounce his day off of me, we laugh mostly, and we just have a good ride home. But this kid is so positive, is so beautiful, and so intelligent. And he has shown me what it's like just to be a beautiful human being. I told Logan, I was like, this guy has every right to bitch about life. He makes me feel like a schmuck when I bitch because I got everything. I got my health. I got my fucking gender. I've got my nationality. I'm in the greatest country on the planet most of the time. I'm a white male, and still I bitch about stuff all the time. And this young black kid in a wheelchair that needs help to go to the bathroom is nothing but a joy to be around. And that's why I do this job. And that's why I'm lucky to be there. I don't want to start crying. So I'll see you guys next time. But I am very fortunate. And thank you, Q. Thanks for showing me lessons that I can only hope that I impart to you someday. All right, see you guys next time. Bye.